The easiest way to spot a photo taken on a cheap camera or a smartphone versus a professional camera is usually depth of field. Cheap cameras have small sensors and small lenses that produce deep depth of field images where the entire scene is in focus. And for the most part, expensive cameras have larger sensors with larger lenses that produce shallow depth of field where your subject is in focus but that background goes out of focus very quickly. But what if that wasn't the case anymore? You guys have probably heard about portrait mode on the iPhone that fakes shallow depth of field using software. And now Luminar AI has just come out with an update and they claim that you can add fake shallow depth of field to any image after the fact. Let's put it to the test. So this test is incredibly simple. I took my gorgeous model Patrick Hall outside and I took 4 different images. One shot in standard mode with the iPhone, one shot in portrait mode with the iPhone, that's going to add that fake blur to the background. One shot with my Sony camera at f/22 to produce a deep depth of field, and then one shot at 2.8 to create the only real image with shallow depth of field in this comparison. I took the image shot at f/22, brought it into Luminar AI, and without doing anything, the software automatically found the outline of Patrick almost perfectly. And as you can see here, if I just move this slider, it will change the blur of that background. The only thing that the software missed was this little piece of hair right behind Patrick's head, but the software does allow you to paint that back in if it misses anything. This software is not just cutting out a subject and blurring the background, it is trying to figure out the depth of the scene, and it is blurring things less that are closer to the subject than things that are far away in the distance. This looks very realistic, and the only errors I see are right around the edge of Patrick, but that's to be expected when you're dealing with software. Okay, let's quickly look at all of these images side by side. If you compare the 2 shots on the iPhone, I am very impressed by how well portrait mode does, especially if you're just going to be uploading these images to Instagram or Facebook. I don't think anybody's going to be able to tell these little details where it may have made a mistake on the edge of somebody. Now let's compare the portrait mode to Luminar AI. If we zoom into both of these shots, you will notice that neither of them is perfect, but I am very impressed with this software, again, especially if you're just going to be uploading these images to the web. So when you compare the 2 shots with fake bokeh to the one real shallow depth of field shot, obviously you will see some differences, but I don't think the average person would ever be able to tell. So I took all 3 of these shots and I put them on a forum with just professional photographers to see if anybody would be able to guess what was going on, what was the difference between these 3 shots. And we got a ton of responses all over the map. Many people thought we were shooting on 3 different cameras, which we weren't. Many people thought we were shooting with 3 different lenses, which we weren't. But only one photographer was able to guess that the middle shot had fake bokeh that was added in software after the fact. So in conclusion, should we all throw away our professional cameras? I don't think so. I don't think we're quite there yet, but for the average person who casually takes photographs and they just want them to look better and they're probably going to just upload them to social media anyway, I think adding fake bokeh and shallow depth of field after the fact is a viable option now. If you haven't already looked, check and see if your smartphone has a portrait mode like option. And if you're interested in Luminar, you can go to the link in the description below and check it out 100% for free.